Do you feel like you never have time in your schedule for the things that you really want to do? Do you find yourself saying no to things when you wish you could really just say yes? If you have a super busy, demanding schedule and you are sick and tired of missing out, then because today I am going to show you the super simple yet very effective process that I have followed that has opened up a ton of time freedom in my life. And the awesome news is anyone can make this work no matter what, but all you have to do is just commit to following it. So, when asked the question, most people would say, yes, I want more time freedom in my life. I want to spend my time on more meaningful activities. But then they look at their crazy busy schedules and all of the responsibilities that fill up their plate. And they think to themselves, I guess this is just going to have to wait until I'm less busy. But the problem with that type of thinking is less busy never seems to come. Here's the truth. People who enjoy plenty of time freedom in their lives, these are the people who you see that it seems like they're always running off to do the type of things that you wish you could just run off and do, right? The people who enjoy this type of lifestyle freedom, they aren't less busy than you. They're just filling out their calendar in a completely different way than you are. So let's think about your calendar for a minute. What does your daily and weekly, monthly schedule look like? If I had to guess, your weekly schedule probably looks something like you go to work, you clean the house, you run errands, you attend appointments, you cook food, you do the laundry, you do the dishes, you do yard work, you do home maintenance, and then next week you repeat it all over again. So in our lives, we have been taught to prioritize things like busy work, things that we think are obligations, these activities that are necessary, but they are of a lesser value. We prioritize these activities in our lives over the activities that are actually truly valuable to us, the meaningful stuff that we really wish we could spend our time on. So, what this means is we have these so-called obligations. And these so-called obligations, they get placed onto our schedule and then they get placed onto our schedule first. And then everything that we want to do, that just gets the time that is left over. But here's the thing. Once you place all of your so-called obligations onto your schedule, there really isn't that much time left over, is there? And because there really isn't that much time left over, the things that we actually want to do, what's important to us, it either gets adjusted or it gets cut down or it gets eliminated completely. So the issue isn't really that you don't have enough time. The issue is you are just allocating the time that you do have to less meaningful, less valuable activities. And this is actually a very different problem. So, what if instead of saying to yourself, I'll just fit in the things that I want to do on my schedule if and when I have the time to do them, what if you made it a rule that things that matter most get placed on your calendar first? Things like family vacations and time with your spouse and time with your children, exercise, personal time. Think about all the experiences that you want to have. What if things like this went onto your calendar and into your schedule first, and then you plugged everything else in around those activities? I know this is a really exciting idea, but it also makes a lot of people anxious, and it's completely understandable because it's actually the exact opposite of what we've been taught. It's probably the exact opposite of how we saw our parents and other people run their lives. But the thing is we've been taught that our obligations come first and our wants come last. We've been taught to fill out our calendar in a certain way. And so today I'm going to teach you how to fill out your calendar in a different way. Because here's the thing, I 100% am a responsible person. I fully believe in taking care of my obligations and doing the things that need to get done in a timely manner. But what if I told you that I could show you the way that you could tap into the power of making many of these so called obligations in your life just magically appear? How do you do that? You do that by asking better questions. You actually do that by questioning your so called obligations. You just ask yourself questions like, do I really need to do this thing? Or am I just telling myself? Or are other people telling me that I need to do this thing? You can ask the question of, okay, maybe I need to do this thing, but do I need to do it right now? Do I need to do it today? Do I need to do it this week? Or can I choose something else instead and plug that into a different time? Another question you can ask yourself is, does this need to be done by me? Do I really have to do it? Or could I put this activity on somebody else's plate? Because many of the things that we perceive as obligations, they're not actually obligations at all. Sometimes we just think that they are because these are the things that we've always done. These things have become routine. And sometimes other people are relying on you to get them done. And you don't want to let these people down. And that's understandable. And absolutely, like I said, some of these things in your life do truly need to get done. But let's go back to that question of, does this thing actually need to get done by me? When you ask yourself that question, you can then ask the follow up questions of, okay, if it doesn't necessarily need to get done by me, can I delegate this thing? Can I automate this thing? Could I consolidate this thing? Could I eliminate the thing entirely from my plate, my schedule, my calendar? When you really get honest about what you are currently spending your time on, I guarantee that you are going to see how much of your so called obligations can actually get adjusted, get cut down, or eliminated completely instead of those things in your life that you actually want to be spending your time on. So, a few years ago, I learned a life changing way of thinking about my time. So, I had this awesome coach, and he said to me, okay, what if, novel idea, but what if you treated your time like money? What if you viewed your time as currency? What would you choose to spend your time on then if your time was as valuable to you as your money? Would you choose to spend your time on less valuable things? Or would you be trying to spend your time only on the most valuable things? When I thought of it this way, the answer was obvious. And for the first time, I realized that I had wasted a lot of my time on the less valuable activities. And when I compared it to money, it was no different than when I had wasted money on like cheap trinkets or junk food or things that broke easily, right? So my coach then taught me a new way of structuring my schedule and organizing my calendar. And all that was is I just reversed how I was prioritizing my things. Instead, I would structure my time around what was most important first, and then I would plug everything else that needed to get done, but I would plug those things in second. So all of my so called obligations became secondary, and I put my priorities, what was truly important to me, at the forefront of how I would spend my time. So here's what I discovered when I actually put this into practice. So once I filled up my calendar with the things that I actually wanted to do first, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of time left over for the other things. So again, this goes back to the reverse of it. When you fill up your calendar with all of your obligations, you realize there's not a lot of time left over for the things you want to do. Well, now I had the reverse problem. I had the opposite. There wasn't a lot of time left over in my calendar for the things that I needed to do, or that I perceived I needed to do, not necessarily obligations, so called obligations. So, what this forced me to do was it forced me to step back and ask those honest questions about what I perceived I was obligated to do. It forced me to adjust things, to cut down on things, or just completely eliminate many of the things that I was spending my time on. It forced me to get them off my plate. And it was a really big challenge for me at first. And it gave me anxiety. I'm not going to lie. It gave me anxiety to actually commit to this type of process because it was the polar opposite of how I had been structuring my time up until that point. But because I committed to it, because I committed to, no, I'm going to put my priorities first, it forced me to find a solution. And the solution that I found was just a simple time freedom audit. So, a time freedom audit is just when you look at your calendar and you literally audit your daily activities. You just step back and you capture everything that you are spending your time on. And then you run it through a set of very simple but very effective filters that help you to put what you're spending your time on in different buckets. It's going to end up either being you doing the thing or somebody or something else does it, or you eliminate it completely. The first filter is actually to eliminate things completely. So you step back and you look at everything that you're spending your time on and you just ask yourself, does this even need to happen at all? Does this even need to happen, or am I just telling myself that it needs to happen? This is the first filter that you want to question everything through, because the easiest time for you to manage is the time that you no longer have to spend, right? So you just ask yourself these questions. Do I really need to do this? Is this really an obligation? Ask yourself, okay, what would happen in my life if I stopped doing it? Is this something I'm just doing because it's something I've always done? Or was this an activity that was right for me in the past, but now that I'm moving in a different direction, I've grown, I've changed, things in my life have changed. Maybe it's time for me to just completely eliminate doing this thing, right? Ask yourself, is this actually important? Am I doing this thing because I actually have to, or because I just feel like I should? That's a big one. So, some examples of what you are currently spending your time on would be, if you're going out with friends and you're doing a certain activity and it just really no longer is a fit for you, you don't even really want to be doing it, then that is something that you could just completely eliminate. Just say, hey guys, I got to spend time working on something else in my life. So I'm going to have to table the bowling league, the golf league, going out and having coffee, the book club, right? In your work life, maybe you are employed, maybe you run a business, you can step back and you can look at the meetings that you are attending. Do I even need to attend this meeting? Do I even need to hold the meeting if you are the person who is scheduling the meetings? Do I even need to hop on this call, or is this something that could simply be a quick text or email? So you're thinking about your work obligations that take up your time. You're thinking about the social activities that take up your time that you've really outgrown. But then you've also got to look at, are you running a bunch of unnecessary errands? Are you spending time on tasks and activities that are actually just busy work? They're not actually moving the needle forward. They just make you feel busy and accomplished, but not necessarily accomplishing much. And then you've got to look at the things. This one's the tough one, probably the toughest one, but you've got to look at the things that people want you to do, that people are asking you to do. What are the things that people are having you do that you really should be saying no to because it's a time suck? They could find somebody else to do it. It's probably going to irritate them when you tell them, I can't do this for you anymore, but you just got to get it off your plate so that you've got that extra time. So the goal here in filter 1 is for you just to completely delete it from your calendar and from your schedule. Filter number 2 is to either automate tasks or delegate tasks. You just ask yourself, do I need to be doing this manually? Or can I automate it? Or does this need to be done by me personally, directly? Or could I delegate it and hand it off to somebody else? So there are things in your life that are absolutely necessary to get done, but it doesn't necessarily require you to specifically be hands on. So you just start scratching your head and looking around for what technologies, systems, or other people could get this done for me. So some examples of automation in my life, a really basic, obvious one right out the gate is automatic bill payment. right? I don't really know anybody around my age or younger who doesn't already participate in automatic bill payment. But that was really one of the easiest things that I could put on the list here. But then another thing that I have done is setting everything that is a reoccurring purchase up in my life for subscription renewals, whether it's through Amazon or whatever company it is that I am receiving my stuff from. If they've got a subscription renewal service, I am on it. I don't even have to think about it. I've figured out how often I need it, and then the thing just shows up on my doorstep in the time when I need it. It is a beautiful thing. I also I have automated and then also delegated as much of my groceries and my household items. I get all of that stuff delivered. I use a service called Instacart. There's all sorts of other online grocery shopping services that you could be tapping into. Recurring groceries and household items delivered saves you hours each week. And at first to me it felt a little bit weird to have somebody else go out and get my things, drop them off at my door. Sometimes things aren't perfect, sometimes things are out of stock. I just deal with it for the time saved. It is a beautiful thing. And for the extra added cost, it is minimal. It is so minimal compared to the time that it saves you to have somebody else go out and get your groceries and your household goods for you. And then another thing that you can do is you can have pre made meals ordered and delivered to your house to help cut down on the amount of time that you are cooking. So, those are some examples of automation delegation. Another easy thing that you could do for delegation is you can step back and you can ask yourself, is my spouse and are my children capable of doing these things instead of myself? Think about the dishes, putting away laundry, other chores around the house. My sons are now almost 9 and 11, and I have got them doing so many more things this year, and it is so beautiful. Things like putting away the dishes, folding their own laundry, and putting them away. And then just asking your spouse for extra help. Those things that you never put on their plate before, just saying, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. I really need some more time. Could you help me get this task done? Another thing that you can outsource is your lawn care, your laundry, your house cleaning. These are things that we have begun to outsource in these past few years. They save us so much time, hours and hours every week and every month. And yes, it is an extra added cost, but the benefit received, which is the time back on our plate, is absolutely beautiful. Another thing that I've done in the last few years is I've hired a VA to help me with all sorts of stuff. You could also think about hiring an in house assistant. This is for people who are building their businesses, trying to get up off the ground. There's so many things that I've taken from my plate and I've put onto her plate, and she's actually better than me at them. So she gets even more done in a week than I was able to get done just all by myself. And then another thing that we have had to do is we have to hire contractors instead of insisting on fixing the thing yourself. Like when something goes wrong at the house, it takes us days to try to figure it out instead of just having a contractor come and figure it out in an afternoon. So the goal with filter number 2 is these are the tasks that cannot get eliminated. They still need to be done, but it is no longer you doing the task. And then the third and final filter would be to consolidate. Consolidate is when you just step back and ask yourself, okay, can I do this thing less? Or could I structure this to be more efficient? This is a great place for you to start when paying other people for delegation is just not in the budget yet. So, what you do is you just ask, can I group similar activities together? Instead of running multiple small errands in a week, can you put together one weekly errand block where you just knock it all out? Same thing with your appointments. Instead of scheduling all of your appointments over the next couple of months, could you schedule them back to back over consecutive days and just knock all of your appointments for the year out in just a couple of days? Cooking every single night, could you meal prep twice a week instead of every single day you cooking something fresh from scratch? And then again, if you are at work and you're the person who's in control of scheduling the meetings, or you're the business owner and you're in charge of scheduling the meetings, Instead of multiple meetings a week, could you just do one big consolidated meeting and knock everything out of the park at once? When you consolidate, what you're doing is you are eliminating time fragmentation. Time fragmentation actually eats up more and more of your time because of the stop, start, stop, start. Every time you lose momentum, you are actually tacking on a lot more extra time onto that momentum loss than you think. So you are eliminating time fragmentation and you are increasing your efficiency. So, just a real quick note back to the automate or delegate section. So, there's going to be some of you out there who think it's going to be really hard for me to delegate things like lawn care, having a house cleaner, delivering my groceries. Other people are going to find out about it and they're going to think that they're going to start thinking certain things about me. Um, you got to just let that go. This was one of the hardest and most significant mindset shifts that my husband and I went through. It was weird at first to think about other people doing things for us, but that's really not what it's about. This isn't about like, you know, wanting to have like servants and butlers in your house. And if you want those types of things, that's fantastic. But it's really just about recognizing that your time has so much more value and than you have been taught to believe. And there are other people out there who this is how they earn a living is by cutting your lawn, by going out and providing grocery services, laundry services, house cleaning services. So you are actually providing more value out into the world when you are hiring people. You are providing more value to your own life and you are providing more value to other people because you are hiring them for their services. So I am actually here on vacation with my husband's family. I'm sitting out on the back deck of the house that we've rented. We've got the lake and the woods behind us. I'm here in Southwest Michigan in the Saugatuck area. And my husband and his family take this vacation every single summer. What they do is they rent a big house on a lake, and the entire family shows up for the entire week. It's all four siblings, plus our in laws, plus all the nieces, nephews, grandkids, the grandparents show up. We have been taking this vacation together for over 20 years. My husband and his family were taking this vacation long before I even met him. But since I've been going on this vacation with them, which has been over 20 years, year after year, we make this trip work. Everybody shows up, nobody misses it. And here's how they do it. It's because this family trip is very, very important to us. We book this trip way in advance, and then it goes on everyone's calendar. And then we all build our schedules around this trip instead of just hoping that we will somehow have the time. When we sit down to make our summer schedule, this is the first thing that goes on it. And then everything else gets filled in around this trip. So, because the family has made this trip a priority, the trip is the first thing that goes down on the summer calendar. You have to understand that time freedom is not accidental. You don't just trip and fall to it. And it's not just for the ultra wealthy or the ultra lucky or the ultra lazy. Time freedom is intentional. It takes commitment and it also takes a lot of planning. And time freedom audit that I just walked you through, it's very simple. Nothing that I described is something that you can't do and you can't make work. But it certainly isn't easy because it's something that you have to commit to. It's something that you have to step back and honestly assess about how you have been spending your time. And there are some changes that you will need to make that will be uncomfortable at first, get you out of your comfort zone, having you do things that you've not done before, doing things differently, having you have conversations with people that might be uncomfortable in the moment, but free up so much time for the rest of your life. It will force you to actually take the time to look at where you've been spending your time and then get really honest about what activities are truly valuable and what is just busyness. That's your so called obligations, right? So now it is up to you. If more time freedom is something that you truly desire, you now have the right perspective and you've got the right tools to create more time freedom and to start putting those things first in your life, all of your priorities and all of the things that are important for you. So I have put that time freedom audit with all of the examples. It's down in the description below. I have put it down there for you so that you can go ahead and ask yourself those questions. Run your activities through these filters. Audit how you are spending your time and then restructure your calendar and your schedule to revolve around more valuable activities in your life. And so, hey, if this video opened up your eyes, gave you new perspective, and brought value to your life, then be sure to like this video and click subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.